In this video, we're going to talk about what's meant by a process in the context of an ISO management system. Hi, I'm Andrew Thornhill. I'm the director at IRM Systems, where we've supported organisations over many decades developing management systems right through to certification. Keep watching, as towards the end I'll give you a little bit of a link to where you can see some really good examples of mapping out a process, which is what we're going to talk about today. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. When we often start our work with customers, they often have quite a focus on, well, what documentation do we need in our management system? And if you read the ISO management system standards carefully, ISO are really advocating that you need to understand the processes you need to put in place to achieve the objectives you've set. As an example, in ISO 45001, they're saying up front, you're going to need to set some objectives, have policy commitments about what we want to achieve, to establish what we want to achieve, and then plan, implement, maintain, monitor and measure the processes necessary to achieve your intended performance. Rather than just jumping into documenting how we do that, if we process map it out, which is really just getting together as a team, discussing and describing, well, what do we do step by step by step when we onboard, induct people and make sure they're competent and aware of the management system and what they're required to do. If we want to map out and understand our processes, a really good technique is just this simple process mapping technique. There's tools you can download on the internet for it, or you can just map it out on a piece of paper as a team. And all we're really doing, so process mapping can be quite powerful, all we're really doing is visually representing the steps involved. What do we do step by step by step to induct people and make sure they're competent? Or you could do this for accident incident reporting, whatever the process that you're trying to implement is, we visually represent it, and that's where we find a lot of our customers can unlock a whole lot more value out of their management system. So we can, once we've mapped out a process as a team, we can get agreement on this is how we currently do it. We can look at whether there's, okay, if this is the way we currently do it, are there any gaps against what the standard requires? You can start to identify, as you can see in the example, the inputs and outputs to the process. So what do we already have in place in terms of that, as well as critically, what are the risks in the process and how are we going to manage those risks? We can start to understand as a team as well, how do we plan, manage, monitor and measure the process to get the desired outcome. It starts to take the focus off just a procedure or documents to what outcomes we want to achieve. Therefore, what process are we going to need to plan, implement and manage to achieve that. We can visually represent some of our inspection, checking, monitoring, or in this case, authorisation points where things need to be reviewed by people with the appropriate level of authority. It can also help us identify, the standards do advocate that you need to look at opportunities to integrate the requirements of the standard into your strategic and operational processes. And we really think this is the best way to do it. Here's our current process. What does the standard require? That's a great way to integrate those requirements into your process. Then we can come back to that kind of discussion around, well, where do we need documentations, a procedure or a form to support the process as one of a range of potential control measures to support this process. So it's not just all about the documentation. As today's bonus, I mentioned right at the start, yes, if you want to go to our website and the resources page there, we've got a number of these kind of process maps where you can see examples of how we've used a process map to map out how an organisation addresses a requirement of the ISO standards. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying our content, we encourage you to subscribe. We've got a whole lot more content that'll help you develop your knowledge around ISO management systems and certification. Thanks for watching.